Alright, everybody, it is Thursday, September 7th, 2023, and I'm going to jump into the markets here at precisealgorithmtrading.com. We're going to start with our automated trading systems tonight, and because last night I went through, like, basically yeah, when things don't go right in an automated trading system and what happened there. So a little bit of back history with that, I guess, is so right in this area right here, these the signals that actually show up as firing yesterday. Not all of them came through, and it didn't work out exactly like this shows. Well, you just have to keep that aware and be aware of that while you're going through things. You get your total account balances, so you can actually measure your real equity curve versus this one that shows up for the systems, because it's not always exactly one to one. It's really close, though. I mean, computer error. That's why you have to watch these things and pay attention. Or like I have it set up where I get alerts on my phone, come through on a watch, and that way I can keep tabs while I'm doing everything else during the day, knowing that the system is firing properly. Every now and then I open it up just to double check it, but generally speaking, if it's firing and it's doing all that through your phone and the alerts, then you know that you're good to go. So, anyways, we'll continue to move on as if this is a full-fledged equity curve, because these things happen a little bit from time to time, but generally speaking, this is still where we're at. So we had a little bit of a pullback in the YM today, the Dow, and this is today's trading there. So a few losses, relatively small, um, and a couple gains. Not that big a deal, because actually over here in the Russell, we're coming back up a little bit. We're not back to zero for this period of time since March. Um, the longer term trend is still up well, I mean, for our equity. But yeah, so today's trade was 9.6, and it's one trade for $1,890. And this is, for our position size, it's 9 contracts for what it's worth. And then the really best one is the Nasdaq, which again yesterday it also had. I mean, it was caught in the crossfire of the computer problems, and today it's nicely up. So we actually negated all the problems from yesterday and then made some. And this is today's price action, or I should say equity action. So we actually made some decent money today. Those are all wins. I didn't even pay attention to that earlier. Um, so yeah, they took back everything from yesterday and then some to the good. So that's great. And that new equity peak, that green dot right there, what you really want is when they're close together. And this type of action right through here is just tough to take. But if you look at this on a yearly basis, I mean, it is nicely up, and these things don't last very long. This one was the worst. So nice to have it in the rearview mirror for now. All right, and then we're going to flip over and go through the indexes or the indices, whichever you prefer. So the S&P has been pulling back a little bit here lately. I'm going to go ahead and open up the futures. It might, stumble on the way up. This weekly candlestick here turning red is a bit of a concern. We have down arrows on the True Momo indicator on the S&P 500. And that's why I want to actually get the live data. We're not through tomorrow's candle yet, so this is not a full-fledged weekly candlestick. And so, like all these down arrows, like this one down here on my Mo zones indicator, you really can't take that into account yet. So um, the Mo zones indicator over here is just fine, and the one over here on the hourly chart is just fine, including overnight data, which is what's shown here highlighted the way it is. And then I wanted to go ahead and pull up this guy, which I've shown a time or two. This is intraday action, including overnight now for the E-mini futures. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and 4 hours. It's really all the broken down time frames. You can make these whatever time frame you really want, but these are the ones that you can scan and everything else. So anyways, if you look at the EMA's indicator and the Mo zones down here, the 15-minute is looking okay. The True Momo indicator is showing a squeeze, so this thing, when it fires, should tell us which direction, generally speaking, that we should be heading, and maybe give us a heads up for tomorrow's action. We're in a squeeze also over here on the 1 hour chart, and you can see my point is that these things build from the inside out typically. And what I really am getting at there is that you can't count the weekly until the daily fails. So from the inside out means the daily has to fail, and then the weekly can fail through it. But if the daily all of a sudden pops tomorrow, that can drive this weekly back up again. All right, let's flip to the Dow, where we're starting to see potential for the upside again after a pretty, I mean, this is a pretty rough move down. This is the first wave back higher, and now can we get a second wave, or it's technically the third because it's 1 up, 2 down, 3 up. Can we get that going and then take out this lower high that happened back here on 8/31? Now if this thing comes down and takes out this low pivot right here, then this market's in trouble, because we're also toying right around here with the Harvard line, which is technically a stop. So the Russell, it has down arrows across the board. Now this one again on the weekly isn't finished yet, but this doesn't bode well really. The Russell tends to move faster, so we just really want to watch the Russell and see if it takes out to the downside. And on the futures over here, you can see the Russell's up 0.08%. Doesn't really mean much, but we can watch the futures even before the market opens to see, where is this thing going? Is it going to break down, or is it going to break back up again? And I don't know what reports are going on tomorrow, but whatever those are would be the catalyst probably in either direction, unless there's stuff happening overnight. None of that matters to me because it all moves the price, which is all you need, and these things give you the direction. The NASDAQ actually opened lower and then closed higher. And our NASDAQ's really going to be, it's held up the best, and we're going to see if it breaks out. I would expect it to break out, or down before the other markets, because the other markets, it's been moving, the NASDAQ's been moving before the other markets again, except for the Russell, because it's just the toughest for the big players to get in and out of. That's why it moves the most and the earliest. Alright, and finally let's go to the bullish percent indexes at stockcharts.com. No affiliation. The industrials didn't move today. The NYA down 1.84% in a column of O's. The transports didn't move today. The NASDAQ down by 3.34%. The SPX down by 3.26%. The OEX down by 1.85%. And the NDX flips to a column of O's. I talked about this last night, that if it flipped to a column of O's, that could be, I mean, this is a point and figure buy signal now on a column of O's. Now, if the column of O's doesn't get crazy and then it flips, let's say there's a great catalyst and it moves the prices bullish again, this thing can flip around real quick to the upside, put in a column of X's, and we could be off to the races without this. If you notice, when you get these things, they're actually, I think they're called high poles, and you get a high pole warning that shows up every now and then in their nomenclature up here. Well, this was starting to turn into a potential high pole. Well, if this flips back and goes back up again, then you're getting into this kind of action that happened back here. You don't really have that high pole stuff, so, which, you know, some people trade against, so that can move markets differently. So anyways, I'll leave you guys with that, and hopefully everybody has a great night, and I will catch you for the weekend review after tomorrow's trading. Take care.